decided to select their speaker through a rhetoric competition judged by the students themselves. This year, they selected Elizabeth R. Austin. And for those of you who don't read the Legal Intelligencer, Philadelphia's daily legal newspaper, Ellie was this morning's lead columnist. How cool was that? Ellie.
Hi everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you especially to our speaker. She has been very inspiring to me, and I'm sure she's a great beacon for our class. And I hope to have many of us follow in her footsteps. So, greetings to all who have taken the time to come support the Drexel Law class of 2011. Family and friends, spouses and life partners, professors, deans, supervisors and community members, as well as our esteemed speaker, Ms. Waters. We appreciate your support, and I, on behalf of my fellow graduates, would like to welcome you to our celebration. Thank you for everything you've done for us, individually and as a class. We would not have been able to succeed without your love, respect, and encouragement. Law school, in many ways, is about testing the capability of the human spirit. It is about seeking, learning, and developing, and eventually turning all of that into knowing. Not knowing specifically about the law, but knowing that we now have the capacity to figure it out. It is knowing that we've been tested, challenged, and have met the expectations of those who can launch us into the world as practitioners. Our next challenge is to use the experiences and the lessons of law school to become great lawyers. But what is a great lawyer? Is it a type of person, a certain skill set, a practice area, or a firm or making partner? Is it becoming a law professor or the dean of a law school? At a glance, perhaps, and many of you will likely say yes, that is exactly why I came to law school. Because we assume that people who have reached a certain status or who have acquired a distinguished label must be where they are because they are great. They were recognized, acknowledged, and promoted. But many of the greats walk among us without mass recognition, without becoming famous or popular or sought after. Greatness certainly goes unrecognized in the media, for it is the loud and self-aggrandizing that are more apt to prevail. This leaves the good to act in spite of, rather than because of, the level of acknowledgement reaped as a result of their good deeds. Acting kindly toward others, exhibiting a respect for those who may not be on our level, professionally, financially, intellectually, or socially, changes the entire landscape of human interaction. It uses the authority and the power we've acquired as lawyers to help people and to make society better, without even so much as signing up a client. It is the breadth and consistency of such kindness and respect that, on a small scale and most often on an individual basis, elevate people from good to great. So must we, as lawyers, in our capacity as liaisons between the law and people governed by it, incorporate a human aspect into the profession. It takes an effort to continue to see those among us as fellow humans, but doing that, along with recognizing the power we've been afforded by taking this place in society, will help to make us great lawyers. We are the place people come when something terrible has happened to them. We are the refuge and the voice of the slighted, the discriminated against, and the violated. Many, and maybe even most, of the people who seek out a lawyer come merely to hear someone in power acknowledge that they were wronged, whether or not something can be done about it. A prospective client came into my co-op office this spring. He was a big, intimidating man, someone I would be fearful of if I ran into him on the street. This man told us his story. He'd been fired from a job he loved and that he'd worked at for 18 years because his employer had recently discovered his 30-year-old criminal record. He came into our office to find out if he could do anything about it. He'd been to other attorneys, he said, but they all told him he didn't have a case and shooed him out of their office without a second thought. All he wanted from us was to hear that what had happened to him was wrong. Maybe not legally, but on a human level, he needed acknowledgement of his suffering. And this big, intimidating man, upon hearing those words, began to cry. This is an example of the great power we hold as lawyers. It is not only in our capacity to sue, to argue before a judge, or to settle a case in negotiations. It is to validate our fellow humans in their suffering, and to defend and protect their sensibilities regarding the application of justice. In my limited experience in the legal world, I have often seen practicing attorneys become so bogged down, distracted, or disenchanted by their work that they have lost the ability to heal society and have become drains. These are the lawyers about whom those mean lawyer jokes are directed, and will hopefully never be one of us. I would challenge any of you to say that you haven't had a bad experience with an attorney. And that's speaking about us, the educated, or people with money, or families, or a confidence that demands a certain level of respect. Think of how much more difficult, intimidating, and powerless it feels to need a lawyer's help, but to not speak English, or to not have enough money to pay the fee, or to need whatever settlement money the lawyer can get you to pay your gas bill that month, without even worrying about vindicating your rights. These are the things most lawyers don't consider when a new client walks into their office. And fundamentally, this is the threat we face as new lawyers. We've been entrusted with people's livelihoods, often with their freedom, and sometimes with their lives. It is our job, and we're about to make a career out of, helping those who cannot help themselves. This is our blessing and our burden, to balance this power with its corresponding duty, to refrain from becoming crass or flippant or annoyed with our caseload and our clients who entrust us with righting the wrongs that have befallen them. We must always remember this special space in society into which we've been invited by our peers, professors, deans, and fellow lawyers, but also by the lay people who need and seek our help. We are privileged, and we have been lucky. Certainly we've worked for it, but many people work much harder for much longer and never get to the esteemed place we reach today. And thus it is my hope for our class, my friends and colleagues, and everyone we've spent the last 3 years with, to recognize how privileged we are, how powerful we've become, and to grow into and take our place in society by doing good. That we use the respect and esteem we've earned to be good people, and that we consistently tap into our humanity as we practice to become great lawyers. Congratulations to the class of 2011. Best of luck to us all.